So this is the beginning of the video. So what I'm doing right now, see the light's on this, I'm going to turn it off at 30 minutes, 22 seconds. And there's been kind of a handover to here. So the first thing I can do is say that there's a handover from Zoom to video. Okay, 30 minutes. Oh, and I'm going to say it was 30 minutes and 50 seconds or something. Wow, it was a long one. No, that's the way they are. And I don't know, I might have to break that up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a video that's 30 minutes long. That's all it's going to be is a title and speaking. Although I might want to add some interest. I've got lots of very interesting photos that I've taken through this kind of shaky photography. Lots. And they're not something, you know, they're not museum pieces, but they're interesting. Sometimes there's all sorts of strange, like, shapes, but also just splashes of color. It's fun. I have this idea of raising some money for like a foundation to, well, it's a project. I mean, saying it's a foundation might be too grandiose, but although you might have to set up a foundation just to do this, you know, raise some money for like kids who are really, you know, educationally deprived, culturally deprived, you know, or socioeconomically, you know, their world is very limited. And give them phones that have cameras, or old cameras. Cheap phone cameras are great for this. And so old phones go around, and they take these pictures, and they put titles to them, or stories. Because really, and it's all about seeing their own surroundings in a new way, and realizing that there's meaning hidden. That, well, it's hidden within. Okay, so what I want to say now is, well, hand over to video, hand over to V. So it's a Z to V handover, which is new. Don't worry about it. That's important for me. Because before I was handing over from recording on this to recording on the phone, except record just oral recording as opposed to visual recording. So now I'm going from, okay, I call this is a Zoom, that's the brand of this. So I call this a Z, partly to get away from the confusion about voice recording, which is why a long time ago I was talking about my VRs, my voice recordings. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, there's also video. V is crappy just for that, and well, here I'm using V again, but now I'm using it because I know, okay, I've been using, when I've had to stop using this in order to take what's on here and put it onto the computer, I've had to say, well, I've learned to keep recording by using the phone that I'm looking at right now, you know, just so you know that all of this recording is being done on my phone. I have a good quality, not super good, but decent quality tripod. And there's no mount for the phone, so there are 3 rubber bands, and they work just fine. You know, low tech is frequently is a better solution than high tech. And you know, in this world of ever, you know, new, we could spend our whole lives learning all this new stuff, all these apps that are coming out. And I know some of them are great. You know, that's the thing. I want to learn the ones that are useful to me. I don't want to spend a lot of time, or any time really, especially a lot of time, learning things that I go, oh, okay, that was neat. Yeah, okay. You know, why? Why do I need to know where my 342 Facebook friends are at any given moment? Oh yeah, there's one guy walking down the street. You know, the fact is he's not even, I don't know him that well, and I don't really want him to know. I hope he's not going to come and ring my doorbell. Or maybe there might be other times when, hey, we're trying to put together a music festival in Union Square, a totally spontaneous one that nobody will know except for those of us who are going to go, and we're basically going to just have fun making music together, but it's going to be big enough that people are going to go, what the hell just happened? And it'll be short enough, too, that it'll be a mystery of what's going on. You mean, I think the same thing happened last Saturday at 9:30. There were all of a sudden, there were all these musicians, and they were all playing. Nobody was even asking for money. Or no, maybe there was somebody. Oh, yeah. The first few times, nobody asked for money. Because the idea of it, this was not about money. The third or fourth time, there were people whose job it was to say, look, we've got expenses. We've got to figure out how to help all the artists, the musicians, and other artists, performing artists, and maybe other people who come with their fine art, or people who have other things that they want to talk about. Maybe there's some politically active people that come to our festival. And well, there's organizing. It's not so much paying people. No, most people do this for themselves. Although there might be some truly starving artists who need, a Metro card, and so we do that. Hey, come, we'll at least give you a Metro card, and maybe we'll have a little food too. Something like that. And so that's where we're going around. Somebody's going around with a hat or a bucket and saying, oh, this is what we're doing. We're doing this. It's, it's totally free, but it's not free for us. We have various expenses. So could you please put in whatever? I think we'd get plenty of money that way. And people go, wow, this is spontaneous. There's no mediation between us and the people who live to express themselves in whatever way they happen to be born with. So anyway, I know what I'm going to... It was something I know I wanted... There was something that I wanted to say at the beginning of this, but it doesn't matter. I'm definitely putting this up as... I'm going to be putting up everything throughout the day. And I don't need to go into the details. Sorry. So, what I have to do now is something that's hard for me. It's very rote stuff. And it's actually finishing up something that I didn't quite do last night. Let's see. If we can be at all... Can it be helpful? Can I show you something? I don't know. This is all new to me. And what this is really about is a process that's actually happening. It's a story happening as it's happening. And it's not finished. It's not presented to you in any kind of finished format. We're trying to figure out how to present it, period, so it's accessible. And over time, to identify those pieces that are worthy of more of people checking out, and as people check out the pieces of this unfolding story of every time I'm about to say it, I have to pause because it seems so grandiose. So, I'd encourage you to take what I'm saying poetically, exaggeration, even though I actually believe it's possible. I haven't said it yet, right? Because I'm still afraid to say it. I believe it's possible. I actually believe it's going to happen. But if I have anything to say about it, I'm going to do my part. That's what I'm doing. So I believe that it's time. The wheels have gotten stuck. The wheel and the ditch. The wheel on the track. The wheel in the ditch is an over-reliance on materialism, a cynicism that arises from that, a system that becomes more and more organized to perpetuate itself primarily to put profits in the pockets of those people who already have such wealth that they can continue to use their wealth, their resources, to further organize and further sclerotic, hardening of the arteries, rigid, this is the way it's done. Well, computers are just so amazing, and they've allowed us to do so many wonderful new things. And you got to hand it to Apple to a certain extent for sort of saying, hey, computers are more than just ways of figuring out how to calculate trajectory of missiles. It can be used for creative purposes, and it should be user friendly and all that. The problem I just have a little beef with Apple because I think they've become, well, they're the richest company in the world, and what does that do? What does power do to those who have more than a balanced amount? The ones that wind up, oh, I'm on top now. What does that do? It goes, because my organization has certain requirements. The product that I have, what I'm giving to people, it works when it's done this way and this way. And so here's the little marionette called different. Think different. I didn't say think differently from other people. I said think different. Apple, different. Think Apple different. And all I want to do is have a time here. 10:30. Okay, this is good. Now I'm getting better at this. I'm beginning to realize that there are pieces in these videos or the audios that I feel, oh, if I sat down to give a little spiel about Apple, I mean, you could tell I've got some strong feelings, and sorting them out, I tend to get too, essay-like. If I sit down, sort of as if I'm, okay, let me get to my computer and start to, or let me try to make an outline, all the stuff I learned in school. I've spent a good part of these past few years identifying a way of thinking that works for me. And not that I'm trying to put down school or anything, but I'm realizing that the more I unlearn the things that were supposed to be the way it is, this is the way we do it. My wife and I spent all of the money that my father left for us, $125,000, on 3 years at a private school for my son who has a learning disability, although, he's doing pretty well. He definitely, he's not perfect. By the way, no, he doesn't have the easy intellectual, like the prowess of my other two children. They are both in their own way. They're like, holy cow. And my youngest doesn't have that. And then to a certain extent, I think it's good. Because he's got to work for it. And he's learning that. And he has a greater respect for work. Not that he does a lot that's school-related and stuff like that, but with the things that he cares about, he works. He really does work. And he gets serious and focused. And so anyway, I brought this up to say we spent $125,000. All that, that was money that we were hoping. Oh, thank you, Dad, for leaving this money. You were thoughtful. You're caring. You didn't want to spend all your money. So you leave us some. Help us out. And we thought of it as going to go into our retirement. But we realized that our son needed something special, and we sent him to this hotsy-totsy school. And I feel bad. I feel stupid. I feel, how could it have taken me 2.5 years to figure this out? The last half year I knew it, and he's there. It was for middle school. So I mean, and that had been our plan, that he'd just go there for middle school. And it was, I finally realized that this place was terrible. Not just not effective for him. I mean, and I don't mean in every way. There were some excellent people there. And because it had such a high teacher-to-student ratio, he got some very helpful things. So I'm not completely negative about this school, but I'm very, very negative about what they were trying to do, which was to say, look, you have executive control function difficulties. And to be honest, they didn't fully understand what they were talking about, because the way they translated that into what he needed to do was to learn. They thought, look, the kid can't figure things out for himself because he's disorganized. So we're going to give him a system, and he's going to learn that system, and then he'll be able to write effectively. Huh? This is what we spent $125,000 for. The reason we chose that school, because it had a program called the Focus program, in which each kid had one teacher. I mean, alone, a teacher would have one child for a whole period, every day, 5 days a week. And the idea, as it was explained to us, was this focus teacher was trained in identifying the specific learning disabilities that would get in the way of each child learning. The curriculum. So the curriculum is not curriculum-based, it's skills-based. What did they decide for my child? Well, I told you. They decided that he has writing problems. That's what he has to learn. And so they decided, oh, well, we have an approach, a structured approach to writing, and therefore we're going to spend 3 years getting him more and more convinced that his absolute refusal to follow the structure, I'm kidding, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but part of it was, and part of it is, well, what, you're making me do something that doesn't make sense to me. The way I think, it doesn't make sense, and you, the experts, are expecting me to learn your way instead of you, the adults, the experts, learning enough about the way I go about learning things to structure it so that it does work for me, instead of it me being me, not getting with the program. The whole idea is for you to develop a program that I can understand. What time is it? 10:36. Winston Prep. I'm not the least bit bothered by telling you. The school is called Winston Prep. It's in Chelsea in Manhattan. Don't send your child there unless... Well, wait. Just to be fair to them, I don't want them to sue me. So here, old William, to whatever your name is, DeHaven, and your wonderful chair guy, whatever his name is, the guy named Scott Brislow or something. Yes, I actually think you do, from afar, I get the sense that you actually do a good job with kids whose primary learning disabilities are language-based. But the non-language, non-verbal learning disabilities, you're a bunch of idiots. You take all the kids who can't sit still, who are highly distractible, and you put them all in the same room? Huh? And me, it took me 2.5 years to... No, I always wondered about it. Why are you doing this? Yeah, don't send you... If you got a kid with non-verbal learning disabilities, i.e. executive control function, i.e. ADHD, i.e. kid is hard to control, whatever. And unfortunately, that school, they had kids in this executive control function lacking group that my son was in. I mean, this kid spent 3 years in a class with 8 or 9 other boys. That should tell you something right there. What the hell is that all about? What the hell is all that about? But not only just boys, monkeys! I mean, I was a monkey myself. I mean, you know, climb, just can't sit still, look it up, blah, blah, blah. Whatever thought comes to my mind, blah! That's the way my son is. He's learned, now that he goes to a sort of a normal high school, public school, not the greatest school in the world, but some very fine teachers, and the dean, great guy. And this year, my son has the dean, this great guy, or assistant principal, whatever his title is. But he's a truly good guy who happened to have had an IEP, an individualized educational program, because he had special needs as a child, and now he's running a school, and he understands. I mean, wow. He understands better than frickin' experts that charge 45 grand. It's probably over 50 by now. It's been almost 2 years since we paid 46, so each year it's 2,000 more.